Space launches are supposed to be mankind's greatest triumphs. But sometimes, they turn into our most spectacular disasters. Billions of dollars, decades of engineering, all gone in seconds, vanished in fireballs, explosions, and failures so shocking they had the whole world watching in disbelief. From rockets that barely left the ground, to missions that ended before they even began, these moments prove that space travel is as dangerous as it is inspiring. So buckle up, because today, we're counting down 10 failed space launches caught on camera. And trust me, number 1 will leave you speechless. Antares. Imagine waiting months for a rocket launch, only for it to explode before your very eyes. That's exactly what happened on the 28th of October, 2014, when NASA's Antares rocket lifted off from Virginia, carrying supplies for the International Space Station. The crowd was cheering, the engines roared, and then, just 6 seconds later, it all turned into a blazing nightmare. The reason? Ancient Russian engines designed more than 4 decades earlier that had been sitting in storage for years. Corrosion, leaks, hidden defects, a time bomb waiting to go off. The moment the thrust section failed, the rocket erupted in a colossal fireball that lit up the night sky and shocked millions watching live. Thankfully, no lives were lost, since the rocket was unmanned. But the financial hit was staggering. Over $15 million went up in smoke in mere seconds. One of NASA's most embarrassing disasters, and a chilling reminder that in spaceflight, even history's leftovers can come back to haunt you. Number 9. Ariane 5. Billions of dollars, 7 years of work, and in just 37 seconds, gone. On the 4th of June, 1996, Europe's brand new Ariane 5 rocket blasted off from French Guiana, only to suddenly veer off course at 3,400 meters. Seconds later, it exploded into a fiery cloud of debris. The culprit? A tiny software bug. The rocket's computer was overloaded with data, sent false corrections, and literally tore itself apart. Luckily, it was an unmanned test flight. But the price tag of this failure? A staggering $370 million turned to smoke in under a minute. One of the most expensive typos in history. Number 8. Falcon 9. A rocket worth over $100 million soaring flawlessly into the sky, only to vanish in a fireball minutes later. That was SpaceX's Falcon 9 on the 28th of June, 2015. The launch began perfectly from Cape Canaveral's smooth ignition, flawless ascent. But then, at just 2 minutes in, the unthinkable happened. A tiny metal strut, no bigger than your arm, failed inside the rocket. That microscopic error punctured a fuel tank, unleashing a catastrophic chain reaction. In seconds, the Falcon 9 was gone, obliterated in midair, leaving nothing but smoke and shock. One of the most expensive what-ifs in spaceflight history. Number 7. Vanguard Television 3. 2 seconds. That's all it took for America's pride to go up in flames. In the middle of the Cold War space race, panic gripped the United States. The Soviets had already launched Sputnik 1 and Sputnik 2, even sending the dog Laika into orbit. America's answer? A rocket so small, many mocked it before it even launched the Vanguard Television 3. Despite warnings from experts that the rocket wasn't ready, pressure to catch up with the USSR was too strong. On the 6th of December, 1957, the countdown hit 0 at Cape Canaveral. The rocket lifted for just 2 seconds. Then, disaster struck. A loose fuel pipe killed its thrust, sending the rocket crashing back onto the pad. The explosion ripped the launch site apart and shattered U.S. confidence in front of the entire world. This wasn't just a rocket failure, it was a national embarrassment broadcast for everyone to see. Number 6. Explorer S1. Launched on the 16th of July, 1959, the Juno 2 rocket was an unmanned spacecraft intended to carry the Explorer S1 satellite into space. However, a few seconds after launch, the rocket performed a somersault, plummeting toward the launch pad, which forced the safety officer in command to detonate the rocket to protect the people present at the site. The booster, almost full of fuel, crashed less than 100 meters from the platform, resulting in an inferno of truly terrifying fire. The cause of this catastrophic mishap was a short circuit between two diodes in a power inverter, which cut off energy from the guidance system at liftoff and caused the Juno 2 engine to shut down completely just moments before the decision was made to blow it up to avoid a greater catastrophe. Number 5. Atlas Centaur 5. Imagine a rocket that barely leaves the ground before turning Cape Canaveral into a firestorm. On the 2nd of March, 1965, the Atlas Centaur 5 was supposed to make history, supporting America's Surveyor lunar landing program. Instead, it made history for all the wrong reasons. Overconfidence killed this mission. Officials skipped critical checks, trusting the rocket was ready. But seconds after ignition, disaster struck. The booster engines shut down almost immediately. The rocket rose just a few meters, then came crashing back down. The impact unleashed a massive explosion, a fireball so huge it became the largest blast Cape Canaveral had ever seen at the time. In one fiery instant, what should have been a leap toward the moon turned into a spectacular reminder of just how unforgiving spaceflight can be. Number 4. N-1. The N-1 was a rocket designed by the Soviet Union to take humans to the lunar surface during the space race with the United States in the 1962nd, as a Soviet response to the Saturn V rockets used by the US to reach the moon. This launch attempt was carried out hastily on the 3rd of July, 1969, just 13 days before the launch of Apollo 11. However, unlike its American competitor, this rocket never reached the moon because a loose part ended up detaching and falling into one of the fuel lines, causing its boosters to fail until it crashed catastrophically. Its explosion was, in fact, the largest explosion up to that date in the history of space launches, producing a colossal fireball that destroyed not only the spacecraft, but practically everything around it. Number 3. Starship SN9. A rocket meant for Mars, destroyed in seconds. On the 2nd of February, 2021, SpaceX launched Starship SN9, a prototype designed to take humans to the moon and Mars. The countdown ended. The engines roared, and the rocket soared into the Texas sky. For a moment, everything was perfect. SN9 climbed to 10 kilometers, propelled by 3 massive engines. The test seemed flawless, until it wasn't time. During descent, one engine failed to reignite. Without it, SN9 couldn't slow down. The rocket smashed into the ground at terrifying speed. Seconds later, a colossal explosion engulfed the craft, lighting the Texas desert with fire and smoke. Even in failure, lessons were learned. A brutal, spectacular reminder that space exploration is as unforgiving as it is awe-inspiring. Number 2. Proton M. The catastrophic launch failure we are about to see occurred on the 2nd of July, 2013, at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, when this impressive heavy-class Russian Proton rocket, which was carrying 3 navigation satellites, began to oscillate dangerously until it clearly lost control. It then broke apart, caught fire, and finally crashed violently into the ground, undoubtedly triggering one of the most spectacular launch accidents ever captured on video, where we can see a massive fireball devastate absolutely everything within hundreds of meters around. Number 1. Challenger disaster. 71 seconds, and history turned into tragedy. On the 28th of January, 1986, the Challenger lifted off with 7 crew members, including teacher Krista McAuliffe, set to make history as the first civilian in space. The launch looked perfect until disaster struck. 1 minute and 11 seconds in, the shuttle exploded over the Atlantic, claiming all lives on board. The cause? O-ring seals on the right booster failed in freezing temperatures. Engineers had warned NASA, but their concerns were ignored. A preventable mistake, a nation in shock. The Challenger disaster remains one of spaceflight's darkest lessons.